Hi guys, in this video we will be understanding the concept of place and the theoretical approaches to place and finishing with an exam style question.
First of all, we're going to learn about the concept of place. And the first place you may think of is your home. And this is the place where you live, it's where you keep your physical possessions, and also where you gather memories and so on. So the place where you live is a particular place. However, the actual meaning of the term place is very hotly debated and varies according to different disciplines. So to those who work in a planning environment, such as architects and city planners, they may refer as place as the built environment, although maybe artists and writers will attempt to evoke the sense of place in their work, but also in a different discipline, in philosophy, place may be a way of being in the world. So geographers think of place differently as well, and broadly speaking, geographers refer to place through three aspects, which are location, locale, and a sense of place. And I'm going to go through all these three aspects in greater detail now. So, starting off with location. Location is clearly the starting point here, but place takes place on a far greater than simply a point on a map. And this is where the other two dimensions of locale and a sense of place come into this as well, because place is more than just two-dimensional, it's almost three-dimensional. And we're now going to look at the sense of place through these three aspects, using the example of Glastonbury, which is a town in England in the county of Somerset. So if we look at Glastonbury in terms of location, location will tell us that Glastonbury is a town in the county of Somerset, and that is located 23 miles south of Bristol, right here on the map of Britain on the southwest coast, just below Wales, and that its latitude is 51.1456 degrees north, and its longitude is 2.7144 degrees west. So that's what location can tell us about the place of Glastonbury. However, the locale tells us something different. The locale tells us that Glastonbury has its own unique character, and it's home to a number of visiting attractions, including Glastonbury Abbey and also Glastonbury Tor, which is in this photograph here. And the National Trust describes Glastonbury as being one of the most spiritual sites in the country because of its previous pagan beliefs, which are still very much celebrated, and it's also a beautiful place to walk, unwind and relax. So that is what we're told about the locale of Glastonbury. But then the third aspect we have of place is the sense of place. And as I've just mentioned, Glastonbury is a place of great spiritual importance for people interested in paganism and religious connections, especially around King Arthur. But for many others, Glastonbury evokes emotions about the internationally famous music festival, which is Glastonbury Music Festival, which takes place every year, or most years, in the summer at a farm. And obviously the sense of place in relation to the festival is very different to the spiritual aspect of Glastonbury. And that's how one particular place can have different senses of place attached to it, one being a music festival and one being a very spiritual site. So now that I've talked about what place is and I've defined it and told you about the different aspects of place, we're now going to look at some different theoretical approaches to place. And the nature and meaning of place has long been debated about in geography, but there are three main approaches in which the study of place has been divided into. So the first study of place is a descriptive approach, and this is the idea that the world is a set of places and each place can be studied and is distinct from one another. Then we have the social constructionist approach to place, which sees place as a product of a particular set of social processes occurring at a particular time. So if we take the example of Trafalgar Square, which is where we have Nelson's Column in central London, Nelson's Column and Trafalgar Square was built to commemorate a British naval victory in the 1800s, and using a social constructionist approach, this could be understood as a place of empire and colonialism. And finally, the last theoretical approach to place is that of a phenomenological approach. And this is not interested in the unique characteristics of a place or why it was constructed, unlike the descriptive and social constructionist approaches. Instead, it's interested in how an individual person experiences place, and it recognises the highly personal relationship between people and place. So, to take two examples, there were two very influential geographers who wrote about the phenomenological aspect of place, and these were Yi Fu Tuan and Edward Relf. And in Tuan's work, he used the term topophilia to describe the effective bond between people and place, and argued that it is through human perception and experience that we get to know place. And also under this phenomenological banner, we have Relf, who argued that the degree of attachment, involvement and concern that a person or group has for a particular place is critical in our understanding of place. So there's clearly some overlap between these three approaches to place, but it would also be inaccurate to say that any one approach is more important than the other. So it's really important that we consider all three approaches when we are studying place in this moment in time, because places are not simply geographical locations, but they really should be understood as dynamic areas where people, ideas and information, they come together, and it's all these processes working together to create the identity of a particular place. And furthermore, what we'll be looking at in future videos is how place holds meaning to different groups of people, and different people see different places differently, and there's also much scope to change these places through perception and so on. So to finish off, we're going to answer an exam style question, which asks, how do we define place and how do we distinguish place from location? So this is a simple definitions answer. So I'm going to define place, I'm going to define a location, and then simply within a sentence or two, just analyse how the two are different from each other. So my first sentence is simply defining place. So I've said place can be defined as a location with meaning. Meaning's the most important factor here that we'll be focusing on to distinguish the two terms from each other. Then I've gone on to give my definition of location, saying place is different from location because location simply means where a place is, for example, the coordinates on a map. Then finally, I'm going to distinguish between the two of them, saying therefore place can be distinguished from location because place is meaningful to individuals in ways that are personal or subjective. Furthermore, places can also be meaningful at a social or cultural level, and these meanings may be shared by different groups of people.
Hi guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you're looking for an amazing A-level geography resource, join me today in my series of engaging bite-sized video tutorials. See you soon, and together let's make A-level geography a walk in the park.